we start. So till now, basically, we have understood, just to revise it up, we have understood what is cloud computing, what is deployment model, service model of cloud, what is IaaS, SaaS, PaaS, what is public cloud, hybrid cloud, and private cloud. That is what we have understood. Then we understood what is a subscription resource group, what is the difference between a data lake Gen 2 and a blob storage. Then we understood what is a link service and what is integration runtime. Then we understood what is pipeline, dataset, and activity. Then we understood what is copy data activity, how to use wildcard, list of file, prefix, user property, mapping, all of that we have understood.
Mm-hmm.
Every topic, what I have said is I taught you and it's all clear for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what we will understand now is to understand how to move the data from storage account to SQL database. That is what we understood. That is what we'll understand now using Data Factory. So to
Okay.
do that, first we created a SQL server in our class. First we created a SQL server, and then we are creating a SQL database in that SQL server. Okay. So here, let me write the database name, which is suppose SQL Server 78, and then here, yeah, so East US. Then this is very important step. So whenever here we will like this is very important step. So when you create a SQL server, right? In SSMS, don't write create SQL data. Sometimes in SQL server we directly write create SQL database, right? Don't do that. Otherwise, it will create a general purpose SQL database. So create from here only so that it creates a like a basic version which will not cost you much of a money. So it is
Mm-hmm.
5
Okay.
USD per month, and I think you are okay with that, right? Can I create it?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Yeah, because I don't have any option less than that. So, and you are in the pay as you go model, so you are okay for this, right? So let's create
Okay.
it now. And we will keep it development, we will keep it locally redundant. Okay, fine. Now SQL, yeah, so let's review and create. Okay, one more step. So here, in additional setting, we will do the sample. So here, if you select sample, it will create some sample data set for you to practice. Okay.
Okay.
So like, and all the other setting is by default, networking, security, and every setting is by default. And then we will create a SQL database.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's done. Let's go to resource. Let's go to query editor. And here I will try to enter the password SQL. Yeah, it's giving an error. The error is because the SQL server has a firewall attached to it. So we need to enable, like we need to whitelist uh, the IP. Uh, SQL server is denied access, public set to yes. So yeah, so we need to basically enable the IP, and for that you need to go to over here. So like every so suppose if you have like you are able to log into Netflix, why? Because they allowed all the IP, right? That is why you're able to
Mm-hmm.
log in. Similar
Yes.
to that, you are able to if you want to log into the SQL server, it should allow your IP basically. So currently that is not allowed. So we are going to allow that, and that can be done using one second. Yeah, let's go to networking, and then here we will add a firewall rule, and here we'll write allow all, and then we'll write the start IP, which is 0.0.0.0 to all the IP, which is like 255.255.255.255. When you do that, it basically allows all the IP. So every computer has IP address. So similar, like your computers also has IP address. My
Yes.
IP, yeah. So every computer has IP address. So you basically uh, allowing all the IP, so that like anyways you are practicing, but in real time scenario you will not allow all the IP. This is your IP address. So in real time
Yes.
scenario you will only allow the IP of your client. Okay, so here I'm allowing all the IP so that I don't get any IP related errors. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
here let's go to SQL database again. Let's go to query editor, and then here we'll try to log in again SQL. Yeah, now I'm able to log in, and here you can see the sample databases which got created. Okay, now I am going to ADF again. Okay, now I'm going to let me share my screen now, and then
Okay.
I will teach in my screen. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so we have like let's create a pipeline, and in this pipeline, first of all, to move the data from SQL Server to data, so to sorry, from blob storage to your SQL Server, we need a link service. So similar here, we'll create a link service. We already have a link service for the blob storage. Now we'll create a link service for SQL Server, which you have created just now. So I will type Azure SQL database, and then here we'll select the server name, which is this one, database name, which is this one, username, which is like cloud, and then password, which is SQL. Yeah, so we create a link service after that. Yeah, so this link service has been created, and then let's create a pipeline. So let's try to move the data. Simple copy activity we will do first. So here I will paste a copy data activity, Here in the source, I will select the source as a blob storage. Copy to SQL source. One second. Yeah, so here we don't have anything in input output, so I will just upload. So here, if select department file, and then always we'll select first as a header, import schema as none. Okay. Then let's go to sync, and then here let's click new, and then here we'll select the SQL server, SQL Azure SQL database. Now, let's give the table name as dpo dot department. Import schemas none. Okay, import schemas none. Why not from connection store, but because table is not there. How it will import the schema? There is like no table
Yes.
right now, right?
Mhm.
So click OK. Okay. Now currently the table is not there. Okay, so currently the schema. So you have worked in SQL, right? You know SQL, right?
Basic ones, yeah.
Okay, so you know what is a schema, SQL table schema? Do you know that? Create table, like defining the table schema. Do you know that or no?
Not really.
Okay, fine. So if I go to SQL, Santosh, in which particular field you're working on right now?
Uh, Field in the sense,
Like, what's your job?
I'm in testing, manual. I'm into
Man.
production support. I worked in before with Salesforce, mostly on the tool based.
Hmm. Okay, so here, if you see this particular table has a schema, right? So the address ID is there,
Header.
address lane ID
Okay,
is
yeah,
there,
yeah,
and you define the schema for every table. Suppose if I want to create a table, okay, so I will write create table
yes.
department, and then I will define it like ID varchar. Do you know this? How to define this or
Mm-hmm.
no?
Yeah, I know.
So
Yeah, have an idea.
you will define the schema like what is the data type of each column that you
Data
define.
types, yeah.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that you define. So currently the table is not there. So department table is not there. So where it will insert the data? It needs to create a schema, right? So that it can
Yes.
insert the data in that schema. Okay. So here the schema is not there. So we will do auto create table option. What this auto create table option will do? Auto create table option will automatically create a schema
Okay.
by understanding how many columns are there. So data factory will automatically understand. It will go to your file and then it will understand how many columns are there, and then it will create an automatic schema for you, and then it will insert the data in that schema. That is what data factory will do. Okay.
Okay.
So
Mm-hmm.
here we are considering auto create table option, and then I will debug so that it will automatically create currently you don't know in department file how many columns are there. Okay, that you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So data factory will analyze your data, your table, and automatically create a schema for you, and then it will move the data for you. Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So let's run this. If I go to SQL Server now, if I uh, so here let's see probably like let's go to query editor again. SQL pool 1 2 3 4. If I click over here, if I go down, yeah, see DBO department is there, but if you click it, you can see and varchar scheme and varchar data type. You understand what is
Yes.
and varchar data type? What does it mean?
Null, null character, right? I mean,
So it can
when
basically it is character, like suppose if you have integer data type, and then you have
yes,
character data type, and
characters,
then
yeah,
you have
both.
and varchar data type, which is inclusion of both plus special characters
Yes,
as well. Okay.
yes. Mm-hmm.
Now, ideally, your department ID, which is an integer column, should be int integer, right? But it is n varchar,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
it is kind of wrong, and also n varchar is not recommended for the the like suppose if you do select star from dbo dot department, then if you want to sum, like if you want to just sum department ID, for example, right? Department ID. Then it will give you the error. Why? Because it is an varchar, right? You cannot do the an varchar on the
Addition, yeah.
department ID. So you need to basically
Mm-hmm.
cast it. So you need to first cast it. Cast means it will change the data type. Cast as int. That is what you need to do. Cast as int. Okay.
Okay.
Then it will. What happened? Yeah. So here we need to just cast as int. Then it will give you the value. So the n-varchar data type is not recommended for calculation. So now, if you ask me now, Abhishek, how do I move the data in proper data type. For that, you need to basically create the table, and define your schema. Create department schema, okay, like any name which you can want to give to that table, and then define your schema. Department ID integer, and then name as varchar, for example, varchar 250. Okay, so yeah, so you are creating a table now so that you can move the data in that table. Okay, run it. Now this table has been created over here. I don't know why this refresh option is not coming, but table is here, right? Now
Okay.
what, when we are moving the data, we will not do auto create. We will select table option none.
No.
And
Yes.
here we will select the table, in which table you want to move the data, which is like uh, department schema. Here we want to move the data, right? So we will select that and then we will run the pipeline. Now it will move the data to your defined schema. There only it will move the
Yes.
data.
What if you don't have all the columns in this one? So it'll only move whatever the columns we specify.
Um, so in your Excel sheet, if you have like 10 column, 100 column, right? And you have only created 2 column. In that case, you need to use mapping feature. In that case, I will show you.
Okay. Okay.
So
Same like
here, yeah, so here, like here, if I now do select star from department, why refresh option is not coming over here? Oh, yeah, see, all the data is here now. And here, if you see the properly data type, right? Int and varchar. Okay. Now coming to your question, that if you have like if you have more columns, okay, if you have more columns, then you can import the schema. Or if you have changed columns, so suppose that can also happen, that here the column name is different. Okay, so instead of ID, it is only ID. Department ID is only ID. So create table, and then suppose department X, for example. Now you have only ID, okay, and name varchar, for example. Now you say that, yeah, I want to move the data to department X, for example, right? Department X. Let's move the data to department X. Let's move the data to department X, for example. Now, if I run this pipeline, this pipeline, uh, clear it, right? So if I run this pipeline, it will throw you the error. Why? Because you haven't done the mapping, and data factory will not be able to understand how to map it. Okay, so it will throw you the error in that case. Yeah, it throws you the error. So in that case, you need to come here and do the mapping, import a schema, and then he's not able to understand where to map ID, right? So you will say department ID goes to ID, name goes to name. Then you can debug. Now it will not throw you the error, and then you can move the data like this. Now suppose if you have 100 column, then accordingly you can just, you need to just manage the mapping, and then it will be done after that, right? Done. Now auto create is done, and now suppose if I rerun the pipeline, if I just rerun the same pipeline again, Do you know what is truncate, drop, delete, all of that? Do you know that in SQL?
Uh, yeah, delete the table, delete the row, delete the column, add a column, and also truncate is I forgot.
Truncate, so see, if there is a table, if this is a table, if a department X is a table, department is a table, then if I want to delete, drop, truncate is very common interview question. Okay, so from the interview perspective also it's important. So if I want to delete a particular row, for example, right? So suppose if I want to delete this row, then it is deleting like only this row. So this is delete. Drop is dropping the complete table. So table itself is not present. So that is drop table. Okay. Truncate table is truncating the data inside the table. So table is there, but there's no data. Okay.
Okay.
Drop is dropping the table itself. Table itself is not there. Okay. So if I write, if I just do a refresh, and if I write drop table, for example, drop table dbo dot department X, then this table is gone, completely gone. Okay, so if I write, let's write department. So if I write this,
Okay.
what happened? Department. If I write this, then table itself is gone. Okay, so here you will not see this now. See, this is gone, right? This table is not there. Now, what is truncate? So if I do the truncate table on department schema, so now if I write truncate table, okay, truncate table and then department schema, then table will be here, but there won't be any data. Table will be there, but there won't be any data. So yeah, so this table is truncated. So if I do select star, I won't see anything. So there's no
Okay.
data. Okay, there is no data, but table is there. The schema you can see, still schema you can see. What is the schema that you can see? Delete is deleting a specific row. Okay. And if you write delete without any condition, that is deleting the complete data as well. So that will act as a truncate only. So suppose if you write delete from this table, where rows is that and all of that. But if you don't write that, then it will act as a truncate. Now suppose this is the pipeline which you have made. And here, if you run the same pipeline again, let's run the same pipeline again. Then, like in case of blob storage, whenever you run the pipeline, it used to overwrite your data again and again, right? It used to overwrite the data. Suppose if you run a copy data activity, and in the input folder, if you have 10 rows, so if you run the copy data activity in the output, you will always find 10 rows. It will overwrite the data. But in case of SQL, it will insert your data again and again. Suppose if you run the copy data activity 10 times, then every time it will insert the data. It will not overwrite the data. Is that making sense?
I understand. Yeah. But where do they get inserted though? A table is created again, again,
So
again.
he is no. So here, yeah, it will get inserted in the same table. So in SQL. So suppose
Okay.
if I again run the data, right? If I again run this table, then you will see duplicate record over here. What happened? So you see, you will see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, and 13. Then till 13 again.
Okay.
Then if I run it again, then it will again insert the data. So every time you run the pipeline, it will insert the data, right? So
Okay.
how to tackle this case in which whenever you run the pipeline, it will insert data? How to tackle it? How to basically handle it? So for that, we have a pre-copy script which you can run. So if you again run it, if you again run this, then you will again see the data. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 5, 30, and then again 13. Okay, so every time you run the pipeline, the data is getting inserted. So for that, what you can do? you can truncate, you need to first truncate your data, then you insert your data. Okay, so if you truncate your data, there is no data, then you insert the data. Okay,
Mm.
so for that, either the pre-copy script you can write. So you can write truncate table, and then here you can write this dbo department X. dbo department X. Now if you truncate this table, then if you truncate it, then you insert the data, and every time you get the new data, right? Is that clear?
Yes.
So yeah, so if I run this pipeline now, you will not get any duplicate record in this case now.
So everything basically before waiting.
Yeah, so before it, so just see the definition of it. Specify a script for a copy data activity to execute before writing data into the sync table in each run. You can use this property to clean up the preloaded data. As simple as that.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so it ran. Now if you just do the select, you will not find any duplicate.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay, clear. Now we will understand absurd. Do you know what is absurd?
Absurd is upload, kind of.
No, no. Absurd is
No.
update and insert. Okay, 1 second.
Update and insert. Okay.
In a particular data set, in a particular data, what are the changes someone can do? So the someone can either delete a record, right? Insert a record, or update a record. These are the three option per option these are the three things someone can do. Am I right? Either he will
Yes.
update, or he will delete, or he will insert, right? These are the three options someone can do.
Yes.
Now
Mm-hmm.
suppose this is like only 14 rows in this data, right? There's only 14 rows, but there can be 14 million rows as well. Okay, so suppose what you have done, you took this data, loaded that into the blob storage, for example,
Okay.
right? So what you done, you took the data, loaded that into the blob storage, right?
Mm-hmm.
But suppose someone came and then changed this information technology to IT, for example,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now it is, now this data doesn't match because the update has happened, right? And also someone inserted some data, right? So here a new department got introduced, which is training, for example, right? You loaded this data to the blob storage, then you also loaded data to SQL. Okay, this is on-premise data. You loaded data to blob storage, you loaded data to SQL. Now someone came and changed it. It became IT, and new training department got introduced. So this data, and this data is not out of sync now, right? It is not in sync. Am I correct?
Yes.
Now to make it in sync, either you take the whole data and load it again, truncate and load, which we just
Okay.
understood, right?
Uh-huh.
You just take the data and load it again, truncate and load it again, right? Truncate and load it again.
Yes.
But the smarter way of doing it is you just take the change record, this record and this record, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just take the change record, which is this one
Mm-hmm.
and also this one. and you do the upsert after that. What I mean by upsert? Update and insert. So whenever the primary key is already there, which is 4 is a primary key. Department ID is a primary key of a table. Primary key, you understand what is primary key? Primary key is unique identifier of a table. Okay. So
Table.
if a
Okay.
yeah, so if that key is different, then the record is different. Okay. So
Okay.
so this is a primary key of this table. So this 4 becomes IT. 4 is IT. So here the primary key is already there, right? 4 is already there. So we will update this. If the primary key is already there, we'll update it.
Okay.
And if the primary key is not there, we'll insert it. So the 14 is not there, we'll insert it. So this is absurd. Whenever the primary key is already there, we'll update it. Whenever it is not there, we'll insert it. Is it clear or no?
Yes, understood.
Yeah, so here we will do the same thing. Now suppose I am removing this pre-copy script now, and in the source, suppose the data is already loaded, right? Data is already loaded, but in the source, someone changed it. Someone changed this data.
Hmm.
Suppose information technology became IT, and someone introduced a new department which is training, for example, right? And we have only changed record. This is the changed record we have.
Yes. Mhm.
Now, if you run this pipeline, so here in this data factory, we want to do upsert. We want to do upsert based on the primary key column. What is the key column? Key column is department ID. So it will compare. If the primary key is already there, it will update. If not, then insert. So for IT, it is for information technology, which is 4, it is already there. So it will update. Otherwise, it will insert. Now, if you run
Okay.
this, it failed. Why it failed? Yeah, instead of department ID, we'll consider ID. Then let's go to SQL, and then if you do search, do the refresh. See, information technology became IT. It updated this and inserted training.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Clear, right?
Yes.
So Santosh, whenever the things which I am saying, we are anyways connecting one to one, right? So whenever you feel, so some of the things can be very basic for me, which is not basic for you, right? So
Yes.
whenever
Mm-hmm.
you feel that it's it it is not clear, or I am going fast or anything like that, try
Mm-hmm.
to tell me very honestly, and then very you can just tell me anything. You can ask as basic question as you want,
Sure.
but it should be clear for you, right? Because
Sure.
sometimes I consider that you know things and you might not don't know that, right? So
Yes. Yes.
just let me know if anything is not clear for you, be it any very basic simple question, because I might consider that I might consider that you know primary key, you know schema, you know what is truncate and all of that. I pre-assume you know, but sometimes you
Yes.
don't know, so you need to tell me, right? So that I know you don't know. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine. So
So,
everything.
so anything normally, I do have the recording, right? So I go through one more time and I'll write the question for the next class if I don't really go
Yeah,
through
yeah,
that.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
sure.
do you want me to continue to teach you for a few more topics, or are you okay with this for now? Because you don't know SQL, so I
Um,
assume that you practice SQL and then we
yeah, I'm
continue.
okay with this. I'm okay with this for now. So now maybe we can connect on Monday or some Monday
Yeah, what I
again. So
would suggest you to see whenever you go and search for interviews, right? So you need to learn SQL, okay? And this is the best site to learn SQL. This is like I cannot find better site than this. This is
I
very
used to do this. I used to
yeah,
do this. I practiced on this before a long time. I mean, I used to do this. Only thing
yeah.
is, yeah, it doesn't give you. It tells you what does this operation does,
Hmm.
but again, you have to remember what are the things mostly we use, right? The top 20, 30 operations are good enough for.
We use select, distinct, where, order by, and, or, not, insert value, null value, delete, drop, truncate, sum, average. All of this is important. All of this.
Okay,
This is
okay.
not important. Null operation, stored position is important. Comments is not important. Important operator is not important. Okay.
I'll go through them
Now,
anyway. Yeah,
yeah, so and then primary key, foreign key, just go through it. It will take hardly 2 to 3 hours. Okay.
sure. Yeah,
Like, and try. So the best way to do this is to practice. Okay. So suppose if you learn this, select a star from customers, for example, right? So you come
yeah,
here. Okay.
yeah,
You come here and then try to write select in for all the table, kind of, so that you
yeah.
understand. So
Got it.
there you don't write a schema, but here you have to write a schema.
Yes, yes.
And then when you are doing sum, so currently I have shown you how to do the sum, right? Sum of department number.
Mhm.
So don't just see it over here, come there and write it by yourself. This is how you will learn. Okay.
Yes, yes.
And slowly I will try to give you the interview questions. Okay.
Sure. No problem. Yeah.
So the homework for the next class is uh, first practice SQL from W3 school,
Mhm.
and try to do it till suppose uh, joins, till joins you do it, and I will try to give you the questions till joins. Okay. And then till joins, and then also understand what is delete, drop, truncate. Delete, drop, truncate. You can anyways note down the question if you have it with respect to this. And then third homework is like you create a link service. You create a link service for SQL, Azure SQL. Uh, Before that, uh, don't create a SQL server, but see how I have done it. Just go through things. SQL, create a SQL server. Don't create a SQL server because you have a SQL server right now, right? Which I have
Already have.
created in your
Yeah.
space.
Yes.
but
Yes.
see the procedure of it, and database,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and create SQL Server and database, then update the firewall, update the firewall. I will delete the firewall which I have done. Right now I will delete it so that you can do it
Okay.
again, okay?
Okay.
Then create a link service for SQL, and then uh, after that move like use auto create table option to move data to
Uh-huh.
SQL, and then uh, define the schema, and then move the data, and then use pre-copy script. And ninth homework is use pre-copy script is done, then use absurd option. And also 10th homework is use mapping feature for to move different column name, and also if you have more column in source, and in sync if you have less columns. So try to do all of this, and then we can connect next, okay?
Sure. Sure.
I will upload the recording in the uh, channel, and then you can refer to it, okay? So
Yeah.
previous
No problem.
recording I have sent you through YouTube, I guess, right?
Yes. YouTube. Yeah. Yeah. YouTube was good.
Okay, yeah, so I will share the other recording with you, and then you can refer, okay? So
Sure.
once
No
you do
problem.
this homework, please ping me, and then we'll connect next, okay?
Sure. Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah, see you then, Santosh.
Uh,
Bye.
so Abhishek, I have a couple of questions.
Yeah,
Uh, I'm not sure if you do this. So, for example, if you get a job, right, normally do you provide support as well in terms of
yeah, yes.
you don't
Yeah, I provide the support, yes.
you provide support in terms of on the job support.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. And how would interview? Do you help out in the interview as well?
I help on that, but I don't suggest doing it. Being a
Okay.
tutor, okay. So if you say, I always suggest to teach you, help you to get a job.
Uh,
Uh, like, one second.